Hello, my darling. Welcome to a Monday night. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Happy Monday. Oh, let's get Instagram going here.
Yep. Come on. Come
There we
along, friends. Come
go.
along. Welcome, everyone.
Hi,
Awesome.
everyone. Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, Twitch. Welcome, Rumble. Welcome, iHeartRadio. Welcome, Twitch, Rumble, YouTube. Oh, three Facebook pages, two Instagram pages, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and I'm forgetting one. What am I forgetting? Spotify. There we go.
Mhm.
And a partridge in a pear tree. There we
Right. Sometimes it feels like that. We end up and we broadcast to so many that sometimes it feels like that. It's like, well, we try to hit everyone. So,
go. Too
but
funny. So you had an eventful weekend.
it was, yes, my daughter ended up and had prom. It's always wonderful to see them all dressed up, and she's so talented even though she doesn't think that she's talented. She does her hair and her makeup, and they just looked she looked so beautiful. And
Oh,
she allowed herself more time than what she necessarily needed to because she wasn't sure how long it was going to take her. But yeah, she was ready, and then it was like sit and wait. And that's kind of how the whole day went. It was always hurry up, and then you sit and you wait, and then you hurry up again and you sit and you wait. And
yeah.
but no, it was good. And they did their thing, and I guess they had a good night. So they had a
Oh,
good time. That was the main thing.
that's good. She did look pretty. You sent me pictures this weekend. So she did a good, she did her own hair and makeup. I mean, she looked gorgeous. I loved her dress. Of course, I had a sneak peek beforehand, so I knew what that was going to look like. But yeah, no, she looked good.
Yeah, she was very pretty. It's one of those things where when it's your baby, it's I
Yeah,
realize she's only a sophomore, so we got a couple more years before it's her last one. But
yeah,
yeah, it was good.
yeah.
You were out on the property. I wish Nebraska had your Texas weather.
Well, you didn't like the dirt
The
that came
dirt.
from the dirt. Yeah. Yeah. So what are we talking about? Go ahead and tell them, Becky. I get this random text about coming and getting my dirt from Nebraska.
So we ended up and had this bad snowstorm last week, and the bottom layer of our snow, essentially snow and ice, it was so dirty. And they said that the way that the storm tracked up here was bringing a bunch of the Texas dirt, because Texas has had just horrible winds down there
Oh
and
yeah.
dirt storms and stuff. And
Yeah.
so this whole like bottom layer, and yeah, I was telling you to come and get your dirt back, because
Yeah.
if that's what how it was gonna how Texas was going to make it to Nebraska. I didn't want Texas and Nebraska. If
And it
y'all
was
want to come up, I'll more than welcome Texas and Nebraska. But if you're just going to sling your dirt with some ice behind it, then
right.
you can keep
Yeah,
your
we
own
just
dirt.
we just wanted to share the wealth. It was so incredibly windy. I mean, just and the our camper is just caked in dirt. The inside of my car, which was
Mhm.
completely closed up, is just so dusty. Like it's just it's everywhere. I I've dusted and I've dusted and I've dusted and it's still yeah. It's not been this wind is nothing for it, especially in a travel trailer when it rocks the thing. A couple of times I
Mm.
jumped up out of because I'm actually sitting on a bump out. So when that wind hits, it's like, okay, and I'm jumping up.
I bet.
But yeah, no. And that's supposed to rain this week, so that's always fun. But that's the weather report for Nebraska and Texas.
Right? Okay. That's all we come on to tell you tonight, guys.
That's it. That's it.
Welcome to no. Too funny. No, we do have a serious conversation that many people need to end up and have. It's definitely been something heavy on our minds as we've kind of progressed through our journey, as we still end up and walk through our journey. Right? It's not
Mhm.
an area that is always easy. A lot of people end up and silently struggle with it, and they struggle with this relentless feeling. And so, bringing light, bringing voice, and the two of us have talked about it many times, off live or off camera, I guess, if that's what you want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Um, we've talked about it, or we've made remarks in regards to it, because we've both had quite the journey and quite the progress, but we don't necessarily see that, right? And that's
Right.
kind of what we're talking about, is giving a voice, and talking about body dysmorphia to start. We have several things that we're going to talk about tonight, but that is the key topic, for tonight's conversation, because it's really something that I think a lot of people end up and have these challenging thoughts.
Absolutely. I mean, we both do. To you know, I mean, yours as recent as both of us as recent as this weekend, right? We had that.
Yeah.
Our minds see something different than what, and even when we look at pictures of ourselves, yeah, it's kind of, you know, what's strange how the mind can um, give you that low self-esteem, I guess.
Well, and I don't know about for you, and I do have some pictures that we have loaded, that we'll kind of talk about. But I don't know about for you, but I have been able to also look at it, obviously, for what it is, right? And that little voice inside your head that tells you, right, that you're not good enough, or this isn't the progress that you should have, right? That you haven't done enough hard work. And a lot of that is the voice of over time, right? The history
Hmm.
of what we've been told we need to do. You've got to do, X, Y, and Z, and hyper
Yeah.
fixate on it, right?
Yep.
But also part of mine comes from childhood, and not feeling like I am enough, or that I did good enough. And so no matter how hard I work, that's where it ends up and it comes from.
Hmm.
Um and I get that. I've been able to acknowledge that. I've put in work, of being able, but it's also
Hmm.
this trap sense of safety, um protection,
Hmm.
you know So there's a lot when it comes to healing the mind and fixing the body. It's not just what that scale on the floor is saying,
Yeah.
but it's really this mindset and inner dialogue that it's a constant work. It's just as much consistency with that as what it is me going out for sunrise.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like you said, there's times where even just this last weekend, that thought, and it may present itself, but it doesn't necessarily stay there,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't actively reside like it normally used to. Because it was constant, where I wasn't even taking pictures, right? I wasn't seen in them. So it's
Right.
tough.
It is tough. I mean, I think, and there's a number of things that I think contribute to it, but one is definitely society and cultural influences. I mean, the unrealistic beauty standards by, just the media, magazines, um, social media, um, leads to very much a negative body image and feeling like you're inadequate. I mean,
Mhm.
that's huge. I mean, and you and I, and I'll be brutally honest, you and I, when we talk during the day, we're looking at certain people that we both follow, and we'll go, "Oh my goodness! Like, does this person realize how they look in the mirror?" Because they went so far the opposite way that they look like skeleton with skin
Mhm.
over it. You can see their hair is thinning, and
Mm.
but you can tell the way they're talking to social media from their perspective. They see something different than what we're seeing. So it can go both ways, right? With being very much overweight or being very underweight. I don't know most people are really happy with anything because we've been just so inundated with the culture that we have to look model thin or we have to look right.
Mhm. Yeah. And that is in my opinion, the number one, right, is acknowledging what a truly healthy body looks like. It's
Yeah,
not these models that you're seeing walking, on a runway that are super slender. I mean, that's not healthy for hormones, it's not healthy for mental health. There's so many other health side of things that recognizing that the body dysmorphia side of things, and what that it first of all it's real, but and that it's a valid struggle. Many people end up and face it, and they face it on that side too of being thin, right? And I get that it's not a shaming factor, but it's a factor of having a real conversation,
yes,
because I think such a distorted perception of the body, um, it does end up an impact anywhere from mental health to the daily life, because whether you're walking past a mirror, you're walking past a shop and you see, the reflection in a window, right? It
yeah,
does lead to a lot of these negative thoughts, and that really leads to a struggle for many on their journey. It's hard for them to open up about it. I've worked with several clients where that's one of the things we have to address is the mindset. I talk about journaling and energy work and seeing yourself well a lot, because they don't all feel comfortable enough to open up and be vulnerable. I mean, we've had
hmm,
people in the community that, yeah, we're able to, we're a close enough group, right, that we're able to open up about our journey and really discuss it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there's so many people out there that just the mental health side of things is, and it affects social life. A lot of people will withdraw from social life, social activities, physical health,
yeah.
um,
Well, it's
it's
low self-esteem, right?
Mhm.
It's, you know, e- either you put a greater importance on your appearance for that's directly tied to your self-worth. So if I look terrible, then I'm worthless or whatever goes on in the mind. And and there's also a perfectionism point to it all too, right? And people with those tendencies prone to really have body dysmorphia because they hold themselves to like this unrealistic standard, right, of
Mhm.
what I'm supposed to look like because I'm so and I can get that way. I've been very meticulous about my food and tracking and this and that and it's funny because back when and I told you this earlier, when I was acting, um, I didn't realize, yeah, yeah, there you go. When I seen that, I was in a movie, and that is a size 4X top that I'm wearing. But when I seen the movie, I was horrified, but I didn't know I looked like that. And that's what drove me to go check out gastric bypass when I seen that. I couldn't even bend over. The scene was somebody was dying, my brother, and I was supposed to like bend. I couldn't even bend over to quote, you know, cry, have the cry scene of losing my brother because I was that large. And here's what's funny. I still think I look like that. Yep, that was
And
one of my headshots, the one in the red. That was one of my professional headshots done. And again, I didn't think I looked like I looked.
but this also is why we speak to our one-on-one clients about taking the pictures, because it really isn't until you start to put pictures together. Oh,
Uh-huh.
there's me. Uh, I thought I had one more
Oh,
of you. It isn't until we start to put these pictures side by side where we truly end up and can start to, okay, acknowledge the fact, right, that we do end up and have this, but there's that progress, right,
right,
and sharing and acknowledging again that number one step right is acknowledgement of the reality that you don't look like that, you are progressing. And you took a picture Saturday, and I had just seen it this afternoon, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I don't have it loaded. It was on my phone, not on my computer, but I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can see just a difference even in the last few months."
mhm,
Um, but again, when we end up and we don't see that, right? We don't see that appearance looking at us. It's
right.
hard to end up and acknowledge.
Somebody over here on my Instagram said, "Body dysmorphia is definitely a struggle at times. I've lost over 70 pounds and have had multiple skin removal surgeries." Yep. And I'll tell you, I'll add to that skin removal surgery. I'm gonna have to have it. I'm gonna have to have it in my arms. I have enough hanging skin now. I have problems shaving underneath my arms. And it's a struggle now. And that's gonna have to probably be a reality because it's already an issue. It's just gonna keep getting worse as the skin hangs more and more. So I get that. Yeah. Yeah, I get that, and some people can't afford it, and I don't know how I'm gonna afford that, right? Like, but that's so far down the road that I can't even approach that, but I get the skin removal, and we follow people that's had skin removal surgeries, and some people that won't get it done, would like to, but won't, and,
Mhm,
um, but sometimes I wonder what the brain sees after the surgery.
mhm.
Right? Like, are you still seeing I don't know. I'll ask that person over here on my, Instagram, but you've had skin removal surgeries, Amber. Tell me, do you see yourself any different? Has it helped? Is it still a struggle? I'd be curious to see
Well,
what she has to say.
and in my opinion, that's also where we need to move away from necessarily, quote, fixing the body, right?
Mhm.
We need to end
Mhm.
up and change the mindset. We need to work more deeper on, some of these self-care practices, self-compassion practices, the gratitude, the body, neutralizing, if you will, not this or that, or but what is health, right? We asked this in the community maybe a month or so ago, but what is healthy to you? What does
Yeah.
being healthy look like to you? And that's where for everyone it's going to end up and change, right? We all have also different strategies in how to work on this. Like I said, for some, that's meditation to quiet kind of that monkey mind. We speak about journaling. We created a journal in
Mhm.
regards of it because that's how passionate we end up when we get about it. In getting that energy focus out onto paper, being
Yeah.
able to write it out, get it out of your mind, and challenge yourself when that thought starts to come in, because it
Mhm.
is about rewiring, right? We got to end up and speak it and talk about it, and otherwise,
Yeah.
I won't say it on here, but when we ended up talking earlier today, I'm like, otherwise your mind's just going to end up and be screwed up, right? Not the words I used earlier, but
Right. Yeah.
um it's going to start just constantly getting in that racing thoughts.
Yeah.
So being able to get it out, um, going for a walk, being out in nature, all of that is good, but not going for the walk if you feel like you're punishing yourself, right? It's
Right.
not a, well, I look like this, so I have to go walk. No, you know, um, really also surrounding yourself with a support system
Yes.
is
Yes.
is one of the biggest things. I mean, you and I talk about it, but also being able to talk to family, other friends, having a community that you're able to, discuss and be open, because it is all truly rooted in other things, right? There's deeper issues, which is kind of the second aspect of what we were talking about in regards of stress and the recovery and trauma and all of that side of things.
Mhm.
So having that community, having that person that you can pick up the phone and just call and say, hey, I'm struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, body dysmorphia, believe it or not, um, kind of occurs with other mental health conditions
Mhm.
like depression and anxiety, eating disorders, which of course we know that exasperates the whole negative body image, right? So that's the whole other, what is it that's driving that negativity? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Like you have to look and see what's going on. It's definitely, like I said, something that both you and I um, happened to both of us this weekend with the body dysmorphia. We both looked at it and at ourselves and went, oh no, like, ugh. And
Well,
yet, go ahead.
that's just what I was gonna say. Yeah, when I look at pictures, my mind always goes back to the person that I was, and anytime we have family pictures, right? It always goes back to the family pictures that I never printed. I have
Mm,
them and I have them on my phone, but I never printed them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I know other people that are that way too,
yeah. Well,
and I use it now as a beginning, or the start, right? Photo, but yeah, I don't I never printed it and hung them on the wall.
yeah. Yeah. So Amber over here on my Instagram, she
Mhm.
said, yes, I've had 4 surgeries. I do see myself differently. I had 3 children, carried a lot of weight in the tummy. I can't imagine not having the skin removed. My surgeries have definitely changed my life. I feel so happy and proud how I look now. It took me 13 years to lose all my weight. I also have Hashimoto's, and I'm working with Dr. Amy Horniman, which I am too. And um, that was also another big thing. Like, it didn't matter what I did, what I changed up. It may have, I may have changed my macros, and for a short time, it's like, "Ooh, I lost a little bit," and then nothing. And I just fought it and fought it and fought it. And, I I had to have some thyroid and hormone health, and in turn, it's helped with my type 2 diabetes. Yes, I'm on a trizepatide for my type 2 diabetes. Um, but I also took a continuing education class on it, to where I know I'm so aware of making sure I get enough protein in and enough calories in and enough my macros, the fat and carbs. Like, carbs was so missing out of my um what, 2 years?
Yeah, at
Yeah,
least.
at least 2 years carbs were missing. We're talking about maybe 5 grams of carbs from eggs. Like, nothing. Like, if it was a bacon that was cured with sugar, I would not buy it. Um I It all contributed to that, but then every time I turn around the last 2 years and go to hack your health, I was so horrified of what I looked like, and people they wanna take pictures of you and I, and it's like, "Oh my goodness." Well, a friend of mine came into town this weekend, and we were flipping through, she was looking at pictures from last May, this past May when we went to Hack Your Health, and it was a picture of her and I went, "Oh," and she goes, "Big difference." She said she didn't recognize me when I walked up to her car Saturday. And I looked at her and I said, "I wish I could see that. I wish I could see what
Yeah.
you're seeing. I don't see it." My husband looked at me this morning and said he could see that I've lost more through here. And I don't see it because bring that picture up of me again. Yeah, no, the other one, the big girl one. That one. That is what exactly what I think at. Now, of course, now me looking in the camera and looking at that,
Mm,
it's like, "Oh, no, 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 I don't." Uh, no, but my mind pictures that all the time.
yeah. And I get that. And that's where, I end up and I see this person. This
Yeah,
was, family pictures that we didn't print. And to I think you said it was Amber that was over on your
yeah,
Instagram. Girl, I feel you. This was me with Hashimoto's. This was me as a depressed. Fake smile, right?
mm,
Smiling for the camera. But the other thing underneath this that many people with body dysmorphia that don't talk about is what it took to get me to this. Right. I
mhm,
end up, and even though you can see the weight difference, nope, here. Even though you can obviously see the difference there, the person here also has undergarments on. I had a waist trainer. Well, then I ended up and I had to put, Spanx over it because anyone that's ever had a like waist trainer corset type thing on, there's ridges in it. So my shirt, even though the shirt was, I don't remember if this extra large or 2XL, but you could see those lines. And so then I ended up and I had Spanx on under, over the top of it so that it wouldn't show in pictures.
yeah,
And I was still, you know, it was a struggle. But it wasn't until I started to really look at my health. Now, I was on thyroid medicine and I am off of, all depression, anxiety, thyroid medicine that I was on. I took a more natural approach. I get that that's not everyone's approach, but I was so sick of forcing myself to swallow pills that I stopped taking them.
mhm,
No, for the record, for anyone watching, I don't recommend going cold turkey. Like I did. I was just so fed up and frustrated with the allopathic medicine world because they weren't looking at a root cause. They weren't looking and trying to fix things. It was like, here's a pill for this. Here's an inhaler. Oh, you're now dealing, with this also. Let's, give you one more. And it just kept compiling. And I was so tired
yeah,
of the rat race that I quit taking it all. Now I did end up and do labs. That was one of the things that I told my doctor was, allow me time. I want to do this. I want to fix it with lifestyle. I want to fix it with diet. Well, of course, I jumped into the zero carb as well lifestyle, right? Which is me here on the left. It did fix some things. It really did. I will not say that going zero carb, um, full elimination didn't work for certain things. It didn't work for the Hashimoto's. So whomever again that is listening over on Instagram, you really have to look at the lifestyle practices. That's
yeah,
what got me over here to the right. Or it's right on my screen. I assume it's right on YouTube as well. But that's what got me to this other version was making sure that I was sleeping, making sure that I had circadian practices, hence why I'm in red light right now, why I wear blue blockers. All of that
right,
practices helped propel me to this person. I see a difference in putting these pictures together, but I don't always see this version.
right.
Right. We took pictures with my daughter this weekend, and I posted them on social media. But again, when I seen them, I seen this version.
Mhm.
And it's tough. But like I said, I acknowledge the fact, I move beyond the fact, and I continue to work on lifestyle, diet, circadian, all of that. They're my non-negotiables. They're my,
Right.
you know, it is my lifestyle, right? I'm not on a diet. I don't follow any dietary camps. I eat, what's in season, what's around me. Sherry, to your point of the carbs in there,
Mhm.
there's days that, I have quite a few carbs. I was telling
Yeah.
you, what I was making, and because I meal prep, and I was telling you, of course, I don't necessarily track. I kind of have an idea of what my meals look like, as far as the carbs go, but I'm not zero carb. I'm not only carb or high carb. I do higher days of carbs based on lifestyle,
Um,
activity, stress, all of that. And stress can be workout, exercise also. That is
yeah.
a stress to your body. And we'll get into that in a little bit with the recovery and stress and stuff. But really trying to put this focus on
Mhm.
listening to my body. What is
Yeah.
my body telling me? One, that it needs nutrition wise. What is my body telling me that it needs for adrenal and thyroid health as well? That's one of the biggest things that many people overlook is what is your adrenals doing? How
Right.
is your sleep? What is your circadian signal? What is your cortisol doing? There's three, yeah, maybe four master hormones, circadian hormones. They are circadian driven. So what is your lighting? What is, all of that plays a role. I know we were talking and I'm like, well, I'm sitting, with the sun, right?
Yeah.
And because that's important. If you're inside indoors all day long, it's important to get that higher intensity of light,
Yep.
even if it has to be through a window.
Yeah.
um yes, you're not going to end up and make vitamin D through a open window, but you still end up and get that light coming through. So being
Yeah.
able to I gotta find there open the window, and sit in front of it does truly end up and help at these different times through the day, to the point where I am able to be off of the medicine. I do it on a natural approach. I don't take anything for supporting the thyroid or the
Yeah.
depression side. It's all done naturally.
Yeah. Amber said she's carnivore. LOL. Yeah. Yeah. Got me into trouble being strict carnivore. I know Dr. Amy, not only just Dr. Amy, but Coach Becky over here. We're both like you have to have carbs. You have to have good carbs. And it took me what, a good month before I finally gave in to,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, because I equated carbs to bad. Carbs were bad. Carbs would make my blood sugar go up. I can't have carbs, carbs, carbs. Oh, bad carb, bad, bad. Okay. What are we talking bad carbs? Oh, I can't have green beans. Oh, I can't have asparagus. Oh, I can't have, right? I mean, good carbs, not, I'm not talking about going out and eating potato chips and, a sub sandwich from whatever store and, whatever that. Talking about good carbs. And I've noticed a difference too. I've been adding vegetables in every day almost. Um, or at least I'd say I'd say
Mhm.
a good 4 days I've been adding vegetables, albeit mushrooms and my eggs and bacon and in my yogurt, and tonight I had, asparagus with my burger. And no, I didn't have a bun, and, um, but again, it's my body's liking it. It is true, and my body is handling the blood sugar spikes from it. It's just getting better and better because my body, what did you say it is? It's
Before, it was more of an insulin suppression aspect, and the
yeah,
cells didn't know what to do with what your body had.
Yeah.
right? You just had a lot basically free flowing. And so the receptors weren't able to utilize what you needed it to. And it wasn't until we started to kind of train it, if you will. I'm not, like you said, I'm not talking about going out and eating a bunch of, bonbons and ice cream containers
Right.
to create that glycemic response. But there is a way to end up and start to do it and create more of this natural pattern, because fasting can be a stressor. Uh, Elimination can end up and be a stress to the body as well. That's where many people will try to manipulate or play the game, if you will, as far as fat to protein, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but you can even see it in myself. I was here, I'll end up and I'll put it back on stage. You can see even in myself, I had done high protein, lower fat. I felt like crap. My blood sugar didn't respond real well. But then I also majority of the time did high fat. Scroll back through my Instagram and you'll see I did high fat, pretty low to moderate protein, and I still was like this, right? The
Mm.
puffing moon face, insulin resistance. Um, it wasn't until I started to, really work on things that I was able to lower and get, an optimal A1C. This picture's kind of zoomed in. I wish it was zoomed out because I still also carry the weight around the midsection.
Mhm.
Um, Again, a sign of insulin resistance. Moon face, sunken eyes are, thyroid also, as well as insulin resistance. So, and let's face it, there's, hardly any eyebrows because I was losing hair with
Mhm.
thyroid issues. It wasn't necessarily that I wasn't eating enough, but it was a case that I wasn't feeding my body what it truly needed,
Right.
and it was struggling.
Yeah.
When I started, adding things in, of course, my hair was so brittle from Hashimoto's that I had to cut it off. Um, and I had it like really, really short, like trimmed, up the back. But again, when I started to sync my rhythms and prioritize sleep the best I can, with children, um, things got better. My body learned. Your body's smart. It'll learn if you just support it the right way. It's
Yeah.
strong. It'll bounce back.
Oh, and speaking, so I'm gonna
Okay.
take us to our next subject here. So the last 3 weeks, I had a pretty high stressful uh project I was on. I'm a contractor. So I took on this three-week project and I ended up teaching 61 classes in 3 weeks. Nonstop talking. Basically, some were 2 hours, some were 1 hours. This past week, they were 2 45 minutes and 2 30 minutes on repeat. 31 classes alone last week. And I would call Becky on a little bit of a longer break as I'm sitting outside in the sun. And what was I always saying to you?
The fact of the calming effect of the nervous system,
Yep. Yep.
soaking up the vitamin D as well. But yeah, it's just that calming aspect, the
Yep.
grounding.
Yep. But I was tired.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, tired. And I was sleeping, but my body, well, let me tell you what happened on Sunday. It was
Sunday.
yesterday. Yesterday. My husband went to go out to our property. He tried to wake me up. He said I didn't move, and I ended up waking up. What did I say?
Like 9:30,
9
9 or something.
9:45. Yeah, something like that. Oh my gosh, I missed the sunrise. I missed everything. Like my body was out, and I got up and I couldn't function. I was so tired, and I called my husband. I'm like, "I'm not coming out to the property. I can't. I'm exhausted. Um, I know I need rest." And I ended up taking a 2-hour nap. I never take naps. I never need to take naps. Um, I needed a nap. My body told me
Hmm.
I had to go down. I was. done, and I knew enough that I was irritable, I was, overwhelmed, I had, uh, emotional exhaustion, anxiety going on for the last 3 weeks, and I knew the next step was gonna be a weakened immune system, right? It was just a matter of time before I got sick if I didn't do something, and
Mhm.
so I slept till, what was it, 9? No, 8:45 today. So, and I went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. It's like, holy cow. But you and I talked about the signs when the body needs rest and recovery.
Mhm. Yeah, the body is constantly communicating with us, and it's sending these signals in one form or another. It's just we got to end up and be smart and listen to them, right? Not ignore them and keep pushing and trying to burn the
Yeah.
candle at both ends, because we just set ourselves up for this cascade of other effects. And you kind of reference some of them,
Mhm.
but when we end up when we have the chronic fatigue or the adrenal burnout, that's honestly where my Hashimoto's and my adrenal issues come from. Was
Mhm.
I just kept pushing. I kept at the point when all of that was happening. I was working night shift. I was doing a lot of this um go 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 mentality, right? And I'll be fine. I'll push through, or I'll sleep when I'm dead. I don't know how many times I said that. But that will also lead to brain fog. It'll lead to um difficulty getting up in the morning. I can't tell you how many clients I've heard say, well, I just can't get up in the morning, even though we talk about sleep and getting sleep, but it's this cortisol mismatch and hormone issues, horrible hormone issues,
Yep.
right? Because anytime when we look at, again, the circadian hormones, right? The leptin, the cortisol, the insulin, all when melatonin's the other one. When we're looking at these, that chronic stress ends up and disrupts this. Our body shifts everything. We're
Mhm.
talking estrogen, testosterone, all of that in order to end up and make these stress hormones. And so people start getting irregular cycles. People start having weight gain. One, you're not getting the leptin signal, but two, you're stimulating cortisol. It's raising the blood sugar. You're having insulin, raising then as well, because and insulin's the fast storage hormone. So you're creating kind of this metabolic dysfunction, but insulin resistance, reproductive issues. I had issues. I hate to use the C word, but that's also as you kind of break down the system and you tear things down and you lead to a lot of these hormone issues and other, like you said,
Mhm.
immune system breakdown issues.
Mhm.
The threats and the body's ability to fight things off end up and come into play. But the gut as well is the second brain, and we start seeing a lot more leaky gut issues,
Yep.
bloating, gas, IBS. I had that. It's just a lot of these foundational things, and I know we sound like a broken record a lot of times on our lives, because we talk about you've got to get the foundational practices right. You've got to work
Right.
on these basic things in order. And it's just there's so many things that are so intertwined that if you're gonna end up and burn the candle at both ends, you're gonna create the umbrella of metabolic dysfunction. You're
Mhm.
gonna have the weight gain. You're gonna have weight loss resistance. You're going to um, not have these signals of melatonin because you have an inverse cortisol issue, which is again metabolic dysfunction. For anyone that is asking, is where your type 2 diabetes, your heart disease, many of these other chronic conditions that I would say probably 90+% of people are dealing with is in this mitochondrial side
Mhm.
of the body too, right? So you have the metabolic dysfunction, but you end up and have the mitochondria. And if we, uh, I get very passionate about it because that's where my training with the quantum biology come in.
Yeah.
Is in this mitochondria, right? Breaking it down into these cells, and how is our cells producing energy, and why does it leave us feeling sluggish? And, how can we end up and fix this? And when we really look at the powerhouse of the cells, that and make sure they are well, make sure we're not compromising them, every other system of the body falls into place.
Yeah.
So if we can end up and create this metabolic health, and that's again where grounding and sunlight and sleep and all of this end up and come into play. So again, making sure that the biggest thing that I would say to anyone in order to break the cycle, it's not necessarily your genes. We had this conversation
Yeah.
in the BNC community earlier, right? It's not your genes that have put you where you are. It's your family's lifestyle that has created, it's not the genes were not my destiny, right?
Right.
I had the ability to end up and change that because the
Yeah.
body was communicating with me. I was just ignoring it and trying to throw
Mhm.
meds at it to end up and get it to stop screaming at me, right?
Right.
And I was ignoring those stress signals, but I had to break that cycle, and really I jumped both feet in when I found, this other side of making space for rest, making space for proper nourishment of the body and what the body needed. And that's why even still I do more of a carb cycling approach,
Mhm.
reconnecting in other ways with the body. It's not about, you know, eat less, move more, right? It's about how to support, and
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
it can be done pretty much free. I mean, yes, you have to buy your food for most people unless you're like a homesteader, but it can be done pretty much free if we just
Mhm.
end up and work on the foundations.
Yeah. Well, and the foundations, you're looking at both of us. I'm wearing blue blocking glasses and Becky's setting in red light. And these are non-negotiables. In fact, when I get off of here, I will switch over to my red, well, no, my yellow lens and then my red lens right before I go to bed. Um, it works. It
Mhm,
works. Um, Flipping blue blocking glasses works. And I've repeated this 1,000 times. The first time I got the blue blocking glasses and I put them on I think it was about an hour before bed,
mhm,
I felt my body just go kathud. And it was like, whoa, I'm tired because I never, ever, ever understood when you heard people go, you got to prioritize your sleep. You got to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's got to be consistent. And I kept thinking, I don't understand because I'm not shutting down till midnight, 1 o'clock. And part of the problem was, right, this phone, right?
yeah.
I wasn't,
Yep.
um, that's down to a minimum, and it goes on a red tent. Here, let's see if they can see it. Um, yeah,
Yep.
I don't know if you can see, but
Yeah.
so that's red from this point until I go outside in the morning to see the sunrise. My glasses are on until I go outside and then they come off so I can see the natural light. Um, and of course, the time change has me waking up earlier so I always try to eat within an hour upon waking. I have them on. They're
Mhm,
on. I'm fixing breakfast and these are on. And then finally, the sun is coming up and then I go outside and they come off. And then my phone goes back on just normal color. But just real simple things like that. And the thing is Becky and I teach this all the time in the BNC community. We go deeper. We get a lot of deeper questions about this. We're kind of hitting highlights in our YouTube, but yeah,
mhm,
this goes a lot deeper. And in fact, I just put out a blog and I put it in um and
The
put it in
chat.
the chat. Yeah. The and it's a part 1, a part 2 series in our blog. It was the benefit of cortisol and understanding the positive role of the stress hormone. The next one is going to talk about the negative side of it and why that's a problem. Because I have found out people don't know what cortisol is. And I told Becky, I said, we got to come bring everything back down to basics.
Mhm.
Because we live it, we do it, we teach it, we got to bring it back down to people don't know what even cortisol is. And so, yeah, go read the
Yep.
blog. It'll give you an explanation. Come join the BNC. We will, you know, you want somebody to teach you. Becky's your gal, right? I mean, the
Well,
first what was
I was
that
gonna say,
one?
I remember the first time that I did my circadian masterclass, and I kept
Yeah.
telling you, to wear these red blue blockers, and you thought I had two heads. Which, yes, that masterclass is just depth of information,
Yeah.
and so it was a lot. But you also thought that I was some alien that I was talking about, wearing these red glasses. What? Why
Yeah.
would I end up
What?
and I wear
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
And then until you got them and you're like, okay, I don't know, what craft you're trying to pull
Yeah.
here, but
Yeah.
what was in those glasses, right? No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. But yeah, it is one of those cases that
Yeah.
it's very
It's
important.
very important, very important, and I travel with these. Um, let's see, you and I walked around, Hack Your Health last year with them on because we were in
Yeah.
fluorescent lighting. Like like, we don't just talk about it, we do it. Right? It's
Well, and then I had, Brian, I stayed at a hotel, and Brian Peskin ended up, and we were out in the courtyard early in the morning. And of course, I'm walking barefoot, carrying my shoes, walking back and forth. And I have my glasses on because the sun isn't up yet, but I'm out there, getting my grounding in. And of course, he acknowledged, what I was doing, but I was the only one out there too. And we were at this
yeah,
this big event, right, in regards of hacking your health,
yeah.
but yet very little. There were a few at the conference that, would step outside the conference, and um friends of ours that, were doing grounding and stuff. But yeah, it was just definitely needs to have a voice out there in some of these natural practices that need to be implemented for your health. So
Well, the thing is walking barefoot is free.
right.
You know? I
Yep.
mean, putting your feet to even cement untreated cement.
Yep.
Hello, free, like somebody like my mother who probably not a real good idea. She goes walking through the yard, it's uneven and I don't want her to fall. But by gosh, she can sit out on the front patio with her feet barefoot on that cement, which I've done many times when I visit. It's like, there we go,
Yep.
and it's free. We're sitting there getting the sun
Mhm.
free. The natural light free.
Yep.
Uh, these not free, but not expensive. Like,
No, no, but you can end up and control your light in your home too,
yeah,
right? You can
yeah,
get a quality candle, not any of those that got, the perfumey
ugh,
fragrance and stuff to it, but burn a
yeah,
candle at night. Change the light bulbs if you have to have a light on, you know,
mhm,
but there again, it's read a book. you know, many
right,
many people have a library where you can go and check a book out, read a book, get off your phone, get off your
yeah,
Kindle, get, that type of thing. If you don't want to buy the blue blockers, right? There's
right,
things that journal, sit with a notebook, and I had a notepad around here somewhere, but sit with a notebook and journal, print our journal off, and
yeah,
use it if you need the prompts. There's things that you can do that are either inexpensive or free. Go sit
hmm,
outside. I mean, you can see in my window that, it's the sun is setting and it's starting to get darker and darker.
yep,
Go sit
yep,
outside. Listen to the
Yep.
birds, you know, woosah. There's things that
Yep.
you can do, and
Yeah.
that's it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be extreme. The biggest thing is you just have to do it.
Right. And consistency
Yeah.
is the name of the game. That is the key, because when I was under the last 3 weeks, under the stress I was under, I was wearing my CGM, I'm watching my blood sugar go up because of it. I wasn't even getting enough water in during the day, and I was dehydrated. Um, because I can't get up in the middle of a class and go to use the facilities. I mean, it was very and it was so shockingly eye-opening because I'd done this all these things for so long that for these 3 weeks that I couldn't do them was huge because my body felt it. I didn't feel good. I didn't, I was tired. I was all the thing thirsty, dehydrated, blood sugars going up, on and on and on. But tell you what, I've been out there. I've had plenty of vitamin D out there today. I've already been in my red light today. Um, getting things done, got my water in today, and I drink hydrogen water. That'll be a whole nother conversation. Becky and I both drink hydrogen water.
Yep.
I even put water outside and get solarized water. We both did well. I don't know. You're not right
It's
now because
it's it's slowly warming up.
I know mine's out
If
there right now. Yeah,
if
you
Nebraska's
know.
mother nature would, come off of her rock or stay on her rocker and quit going off the rocker, we might have
I
above freezing
know. Well,
temps,
and
but
and a lot of this we talk about in our blog. I wrote one. Becky, you've wrote how many? You know,
yeah,
um,
several.
several. Well, I mean, we both have put stuff out there about things that we talk about here. So anyway, but yeah, it's 8 o'clock already. It's time for our meeting
It is.
over
I
in the
gotta
BNC.
gotta do the BNC meeting. So if you would like to join us, feel free to hop over there and we can carry on the conversation, or we do have other conversations. We have several weekly meetings. So, jumping into any of them, getting that support. Because again, if you're dealing with body dysmorphia, or maybe you're dealing with stress, anxiety, metabolic dysfunction, anything along those lines, sleep, aromatherapy, mindset, any of those things, we end up when we talk about it and we deal with it. And it's that safe space, it's that safe community for anyone. You don't have to be carnivore. You don't have to be following a certain, dietary camp protocol. You are more than welcome to be included. So,
Yeah, hold on here, Becky. Let me copy the BNC where they can join us. I'll
here I
put
can put the
that
ban.
in the you
I
got
can
the
put the
banner.
ban.
Go ahead. I'll stick it in my Instagram then. Um, oh my goodness. So Amber said, thank you. You are so welcome. Feel free to come join us over and learn more. I do believe that we all have the power to heal our bodies. Some of us, depending on how many decades, like me, it's taking a little bit longer than just, a couple years. I mean, you heard Amber over here on my Instagram said it's taken her 13 years. I mean, it's a process. And
Mhm.
none of us are done with the process, right? We're all still working on it. So anyway, um, so don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. This helps our algorithms. We absolutely love it. If you know somebody that you would love for us to interview, we've interviewed a lot of people in the past. You can go back and listen to some that we've talked to the last 2 months, or even longer. And we're always still working on getting folks in to talk to because we love the journey and we love that we're just two everyday women who you know, want to help and we're we're doing our own thing too. We're here and we're putting ourselves out there because we feel it is very important that you can heal the whole body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I look forward to having you join us in the BNC community, and those of you from the community that are here, I will see you in there shortly. Have
Sounds
a
good.
Wonderful evening all.